Okay. How's it going?
Good, really good.
What's your name?
My name is Judy.
Hey, Judy. Good to meet you. What city or town do you live in?
I live in Campbell, California.
Campbell, California?
Uh-huh.
And is that where you're from? Did you grow up out there?
I grew up there for the most part, but I was born in Santa Monica, California.
Oh, okay. And how long have you been living in the Bay Area?
Oh, for several years. I lived in Hollywood for a while right after high school. Then I came back. So I've been here for over 20 years.
20 years. Do you prefer the Bay Area to Southern California?
No, I wouldn't say that. There's good and bad things about both of them. I'd say that for the acting industry, LA is the best, but there's also a lot of beautiful places in Northern California, such as Santa Cruz, San Francisco, Monterey, and Carmel.
Yeah, absolutely. I love Carmel.
Yeah, it's a really nice place.
Did you go to high school in Santa Monica?
No, I did not. I was too young then when we moved to Northern California from Southern California.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So you went to high school in Northern California?
Yes.
Yeah. What was high school like for you? Did you like it?
I liked learning and I enjoyed certain subjects, but I was really anxious to get out of school and pursue my dreams.
Mm-hmm. What would you say like the biggest dreams you had were when you were that age?
At the time, besides being an actress, I wanted to be a professional dancer. So I was dancing in performing groups, taking all kinds of dance classes. And I had my sights on Broadway at the time until I realized I really didn't want to move to New York and acting was more my first love.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So you've been acting your whole life?
Yes, I started off actually as a little girl, putting together my own little plays on tape recorders when I was a little girl, and then getting into theater when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm. What would you say one of the, I don't know, it's a hard question, but maybe a play, a stage play, or a project that you worked on that when you reflect back you feel like really helped your development as an actress?
I think there were two plays that really did that. One was called Grease, wherein I played Marty, and the other one was a chorus line, wherein I played Bebe Benzenheimer. And both plays required me to not only act, but sing and dance as well. And they were both roles I really dreamed of having, so I was excited to play both of them. They were really, really great theater shows, played to packed audiences, so I felt that really influenced me and made me realize just how important performing was to me.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Did you go to college?
Yes, I did.
What did you study?
I studied English, accounting, and modern dance.
Mm-hmm. Did you go to college here in the Bay Area?
Yes, I did, in Saratoga.
Okay. What was your college experience like?
It was okay. I was also working at the same time, so I didn't complete college. I wasn't there for years and years. I was there for a couple of years, but I was also working for a business consulting company at the same time. So I was pretty much juggling my schedules around a lot then, as well as doing theater.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have one older brother and one older sister.
And what's your relationship like with your family, with your brother and sister?
We don't spend a lot of time together, but we keep in touch here and there, especially at the holidays, at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm. What's your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest memory? I would have to say singing. I used to sing in convalescent homes with my family. We would go every Sunday with some other relatives to different convalescent homes and go as a performing group, and we would all sing different songs, or those who could play instruments did that. That was a happy memory.
Mm-hmm. When you were a kid, did you have any TV shows or movies that made a big impact on you?
Oh, yes. I used to watch The Brady Bunch, The Partridge Family, lots of family type shows. 8 is Enough. There were so many. I would see some of them, like The Brady Bunch, after school when they had the reruns on at 4:30 every day. And then I would watch 8 is Enough, which I believe was on Friday nights. And I always look forward to that.
Mm-hmm. What was your favorite job that you've ever had?
It would have to be an acting job. I've had a lot of acting jobs in different films, commercials, music videos. There's so many that I've done, and I've really enjoyed so many of them.
What was one of your least favorite jobs?
Least favorite one? There was this one film I did where the director was pretty good, but I didn't really care for the role because the person who was playing my daughter was too close in age to me. We were only like 5 years apart. So I don't think the scenes really worked. And I just didn't feel that everything was put together and cast the way it should have been.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I love to go singing in karaoke bars. I love to go dancing. I also really love shopping and walking around beach towns, dining out and walking along the beach.
Let's see. Where do you feel like you grew up? What do you feel like was your hometown when you were young? Or what do you think about when you think about hometown?
Um, well, being in the area where I lived didn't really feel like home to me. I would have to say that as I grew up, Santa Cruz became my hometown to me. I still go there a lot for fun, at least once a week. Plus, I've done a lot of modeling and acting jobs within Santa Cruz. And to me, when I'm there, I really feel like I'm home. I feel like I finally come home, that's the place I should have been all along.
Do you have a favorite monologue?
Yes, there's one that I do sometimes for auditions called Night Mother.
Would you feel comfortable doing it for me?
Sure, I can do that for you.
Okay.
Okay, it's a very dramatic one.
Awesome.
All right, let me think about this a minute. You can let me go because you have to. Because it's what you've always done. I am what became of your child. I found an old baby picture of me the other day, but it was a picture of somebody else, not me. Somebody pink and fat, who knew nothing about sick or lonely. Someone who cried and got fed, who reached up and got held and kicked, but didn't hurt anybody and slept whenever she wanted to, simply by closing her eyes. Somebody who mainly just laid there and laughed at the flying colors over her head, chewing on a polka dot whale, and then would roll over and feel your hand pulling the quilt back up over me. Don't you see? That is who started out, and this is who left. That's what this is all about. I've lost someone, all right. My own self, who I never was, or who I tried to be, but never became. Somebody I waited for, who never showed up. And never will. So see, it doesn't matter much what happens in the world, or in this house even, because I'm what was worth waiting for, and I didn't make it. Me, who might have made a difference to me. I'm not going to show up. So there's no reason to stick around, really, except to keep you company. And that's not really reason enough, because I'm not very good company, am I? Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? It's from a play?
Yes, it is. It also was a TV movie, and it was called Night Mother, about a daughter, which is the role I'm playing in it, who's contemplating suicide and talking to her mother about it, about why she feels there's no reason for her to stick around anymore, why she has just given up on life.
Huh. And they made it into a TV movie.
Yes.
Let's see. And so you said you like to sing and dance as well?
Yes, I do.
And so do you do much musical theater?
Not anymore. I used to do a lot of musical theater. Now I concentrate more on dancing and music videos, acting in films, commercials, TV episodes. I'm more into the film aspect of it now rather than theater, although I do theater here and there in different companies that employ me to do role playing for their companies and team building. So that's acting live too. But as far as theater per se, I don't really do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Do you like to sing?
Yes, I do. I love singing.
Do you have any songs that you really enjoy singing?
There's a lot. There's a lot of ballads I do, but then there's a lot of pop music songs that I like to do too when I go out singing.
Do you have any songs that you would feel comfortable singing?
Singing it a cappella? Well, I wasn't prepared to do that, but I guess I could.
It's okay. I totally put you on the spot. So
Yeah.
I understand if you feel like it's just like not the right time.
Maybe just a verse.
Okay.
A verse of it rather than the whole song.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a somebody who's longing to see. I hope that he turns out to be someone to watch over me. I'm a little lamb who's lost in the wood. I know I could always be good to one who watch over me.
That was beautiful. Thank you so
you.
much.
That's from Someone to Watch Over Me. It's a really beautiful song.
Awesome. Yeah. You have a very beautiful voice.
Thank you.
So it's pretty much been acting and theater your whole life. That's what you wanted to do.
Yes, it's always what I wanted to do since I was just 5 years old.
Was it, were your family, like your mother and your father, were they creative people?
They did
theatrical
some
people?
singing. As I mentioned, when we went to convalescent homes, my parents would sing and my father would play the piano. My mother used to sing and dance when she was a teenager. So when she was pregnant with me, she was telling everybody, I'm going to have a baby and I'm going to name her Judy after Judy Garland. And she's going to sing and dance and act. And that's what happened.
How interesting. And then now your brother and sister, are they into theater and acting
No,
as well?
not at all.
Not at all.
They never were.
Do you have any children?
No, I don't.
No children. And are you in a relationship?
Yes, I am married.
Let's see. Did you ever have any jobs as you were, like people talk about like struggling actors, struggling actresses, and you're kind of just like doing what you got to do to get by?
Oh, yes.
Did you ever have any jobs like that, like getting by, like survival type jobs?
Yes, I worked for many years as a legal assistant in different law offices, law firms. My last job I was at for several years part-time as a legal secretary.
How did you like that?
There were certain things I enjoyed about it, but it wasn't really me. It wasn't really what I wanted to do. Sitting in an office all day did not appeal to me. So since it was part-time, it allowed me to do both, which was helpful. But now I'm just concentrating on doing acting and modeling full-time, which works out much better for me. And then occasionally I do brand ambassador jobs for different companies too.
What is that? What is a brand ambassador?
That is basically working for different companies. Some people do it for stores. I do it occasionally for stores such as Neiman Marcus. I worked there with sampling candies, telling people about the products for a while, but it basically is working for companies, assisting with their team building, hosting some of the shows, explaining games, explaining products to people, helping to sell some of the products on an as-needed basis here and there. So I've done different things, and I especially like doing it for beauty products such as lotions.
Let's see. Could you talk more about one of the experiences that you had doing work like that? Maybe like what a typical day is like or something like that.
Well, I worked for this company called Real Time Lotion, and I worked at the Fitness Expo for 2 days, all day, which was really interesting because I learned about the different lotions and what they do, the different sports lotions and medicines, and I was able to explain it all to the customers, show them the different packages, and if they were interested in buying them, refer them to the boss. My job was basically to be the spokesperson and explain the products and talk to all the customers, and I really, really enjoyed it because I got to meet a lot of interesting people who are into sports and exercise and fitness, and I was dressed in fitness attire myself, which was fun, and I could talk about the products and make recommendations depending on what they told me, which I really liked.
If you were to, when you think back, do you like movies?
Yes, I do.
Do you have a role, a female role, or in a movie that maybe like a character that you just like really love to watch? Like whenever it's on, you're just like, oh, I love this movie, or I love that character, and maybe even a character that you would like to play if there was a remake of that movie.
I really can't think of one offhand. I like horror movies a lot, and I've seen a lot of good ones and other interesting movies, such as The Shape of Water recently. I haven't really seen a role where I say that's the only role I should have or the role I should get. I see a variety of roles and say, wow, I could have played that. I could have played that. I just know that I like real dramatic roles, roles that have a message, or roles that are very strong, strong type of characters, whether it's victims or villains.
What's a movie that you've seen recently that you really liked?
The Shape of Water, that was excellent. Very good movie, very different, and I like it when they're unique and not so predictable the way some of the Hollywood movies are. This one wasn't. It was very different.
What's it about?
Well, it's about a creature actually from out of space, and a woman actually falls in love with this creature. So it's very off the wall, real sci-fi, and she's trying to protect it because it's being mistreated by other people at the company. And when she does take the creature home, of course, the owners of the company are after this creature, so it makes it real dramatic with a real chase scene.
You liked do you feel like you responded to it because of the message or like the cinematography or like what struck you about the movie that made you respond to it?
I think feeling sympathetic towards the creature from outer space, even though that's definitely sci-fi and wasn't realistic, it just evoked sympathy in me, and I really liked feeling something like that, watching the movie and really rooting for him, and then understanding the woman too and her dismal life.
Do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Oh boy, a favorite one. I really liked Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. That was excellent. I also have liked comedy movies such as Meet the Parents. That was very funny with Robert De Niro. And there's been other movies I've really liked too. I can watch comedies and really enjoy those, or really get into the horror movies.
Do you have a favorite Hollywood actress?
I really like Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and I always liked Julia Roberts and Katherine Heigl. They're all pretty good.
Have you ever seen a movie called Steel Magnolias?
Yes, I did. That was excellent. That was a play that became a movie.
Oh, it was a play?
Very, very good. Yes, it was a play first, and then
Oh, I
it
didn't know
became a
that.
movie. Yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah, I really
A real
like that movie.
tearjerker.
Yeah, that was Julia Roberts.
Yes.
Let's see. Are you familiar with the Seven Deadly Sins?
That was a movie, right? I think I did see a movie with that.
Oh, well, there is a movie, yeah.
Yeah, it was a real horror movie. Yes, I did see that.
Are you familiar with the sins themselves? It's sloth, gluttony, lust, wrath, envy, pride, and greed.
Yes, I remember that.
Which of those seven deadly sins do you feel like is most harmful to society?
What were the seven again? Would you name them again?
Sure. Sloth, gluttony, lust, wrath, envy, pride, and greed.
I would say wrath. People let themselves get too angry, and that can lead to violence. That can lead to saying a lot of horrible things that somebody might not even mean. It can lead to somebody really losing their temper and causing a lot of problems. I would say wrath is really a bad emotion that people have. It's okay to feel angry or upset about something, but really losing the temper and losing control is when you get into trouble.
What do you think happens when you die? What do you think happens to people when they die?
Well, sometimes I feel that a person does die and go to heaven to be with God, but then other times I do think about reincarnation because there's been so many documented stories on it where people have remembered certain places that they've never been in this lifetime and believe they were there in another lifetime, or people have reconnected and really feel that they knew each other somewhere before. So it's really hard to say. Sometimes I think that a little of both happens. Maybe there is a heaven and God and a wonderful place, which we hope there is, but also there could be reincarnation where people have different lives before they actually do go to heaven.
What's something that you've done in your life that you feel most proud of?
I landed a lead role on a TV show called I Almost Got Away with It, playing this role of Deborah Mason. And it was a real dramatic role, lots of crying. I even had to cry for the audition to show that I could play the role and really show dramatic emotions for that. And I felt like crying on cue in so many different scenes and really showing the fear and the anger in the movie really brought out all my emotions. So I was very excited when I auditioned and got that part and had 3 days of filming. It was one of the highlights, I think, of my career.
That's really cool. Where
Yeah.
where was it filmed?
It was filmed in Petaluma,
Uh-huh. And was it a movie or a television
a
show?
TV show, a Discovery ID TV show called I Almost Got Away with It.
And how long were you did you shoot it? How long was production?
Well, when they did those TV shows, I don't believe they're doing them around here anymore, at least not right now. It would be a week for each TV show. And I had to be there for 3 days of the 5 days of filming.
Can you talk more about your experience? What was that like? What was the production set like? What was it like to
Oh, the
be in that
production
role?
set was great. It took a long time. They were very, very long days, but that can happen with filming. But they were all very nice to work with. Great crew, great director. I really enjoyed it, and it was very nice sitting around too and visiting with the actors who were also cast, because a lot of us were enemies against each other in the TV show. So it was really fun to tease each other when we weren't filming, when we all got along so well, but knew we were going to be hurting each other after each other once the filming started.
That's really cool. And what's something that you would like to see or do before you die?
Definitely do more traveling. I've been to Hawaii several times before, but I definitely like to go back to Hawaii. And I do visit Las Vegas a lot. I definitely want to do that. And maybe someday go see Florida, see different states that I haven't seen before. Nice beach towns.
What's one of the most beautiful places that you've visited that you really enjoyed?
That would be Honolulu. That place was really beautiful. The ocean looked very blue as compared to some California beaches where the water looks very dark. It was really blue, I remember, in Honolulu, and I had a great time there.
The water's so warm too. in
Yes,
Hawaii.
it is warmer, and then you're more likely to step out in it for a bit. But
Yeah.
of course, the hotel swimming pools are cleaner, so those are a better deal.
Let's see. Were you raised religious?
No, I wasn't.
Do you feel like, as you've gotten older, do you feel like you want? I don't know. Do you think about religion, or do you feel like it's just like not anything that you?
No, I don't. I don't really consider myself a part of any religion. I am a believer in God, and I do pray, and I do try to live my life right. But as far as having an organized religion, that's just not for me, because I have my own opinions and my own mind, and I do what I think is right, and I follow my own path.
How about when you were growing up? Were you raised with a certain type of political outlook?
No, my father was a Republican and my mother was a Democrat, so I heard both sides of the story all the time.
That's really cool. Do you feel like that's influenced you in any way as an adult?
No, it hasn't. I just pretty much study the political issues when I'm voting myself and decide what is best, and sometimes watch things on the internet and decide what sounds right to me.
That seems nice to grow up in a household like that because I feel like that doesn't seem typical, I guess. It seems like usually a family is kind of more right wing or a little bit more left wing. And so then the stories that their children hear, or the opinions, are typically one or the other. But it seems like to grow up in a household where you're getting both, well, then you really have to make up your own. You have to make up your own mind, and I think you
Yes.
just find for yourself something that, well, I side more with this, or actually that doesn't make sense to me. I think it's more like this, or what have you.
Right, right. You can ask either parent their opinions on things and then decide which you feel is more what you believe, what's in line with your specific views.
Are there any issues nowadays that you feel like Do you have any concerns about things that are happening in the world or any issues that you feel like we need to pay more attention to or anything like that?
There's quite a few. I wouldn't consider myself really politically minded, but there are a lot of things I see that are wrong happening out there, and it makes it scary. I don't like seeing angry protests. I don't like seeing people making a big deal out of little things, making everything an issue about race or gender. I think that there just needs to be more accepting, saying we're all different. We're not all going to be the same. That's never going to happen. Accept your differences and embrace them. Don't worry so much about whether somebody is being fair in this way or that way, because sometimes things are just not fair. You go after your dreams, do what you feel is right, and don't let anybody influence you in that respect.
What's something that you see in the world that gives you hope, for the future?
I think that more meetings and conferences happening between countries is hopeful, because it means they're at least talking about their differences or their problems rather than going to war. I'd rather see more communicating. Even if our president doesn't leave our country to go to another country, at least do it by Skype, talk to each other, find out, what the issues are and how we can all work together to have a peaceful world.
What's your favorite place to visit in the United States?
I would have to say Las Vegas. I love the glitter, the glamour there. I love the nightlife, the nightclubs, the shopping malls are phenomenal. The restaurants are great. I always enjoy going to Las Vegas. It's just so exciting because I like being in a city that doesn't sleep.
Do you like to drive there or do you like to fly there?
Fly there. I've never driven there. I've always flown there, because to me, a vacation is getting a break from driving. I do so much driving in my career that to be able to just go to the hotel, walk everywhere is what I enjoy the most, because I love walking and I would rather walk somewhere than drive.
So for your career, for your job, I would imagine you're constantly having to go to a variety of different places all over the Bay Area.
I am, yes, San Francisco, the East Bay, different places. I've even driven down to LA for certain auditions. I've flown there. Yeah, it's a lot of driving.
Do you feel like there's a place or a location where it seems like they shoot more often than not?
Yes, San Francisco. There's a lot of shooting there, a lot of different commercials there, a lot of different films. And I love San Francisco. So even though it's a drive and parking isn't the best, you pretty much learn where the best places are to park when you're used to going to certain places. And it's always nice to go to the pier and see the San Francisco at night, the Golden Gate Bridge and all its beauty at night. So I always enjoy filming there.
Did you ever live in the city?
No, I didn't. But I think that would be fun.
Did you ever have that itch, like you wanted to try living there?
No, I've always wanted to live in Santa Cruz because it's a calmer town. I like being busy with my career and my social life, but then at the end of the day, I'd rather just be in a town that's a little bit more mellow, where I could walk everywhere I want to go and feel safe with it. So I really like Santa Cruz, and I love Monterey too. That's also a beautiful place, but that's a little too quiet.
So Santa Cruz is sort of a beachside town. I know they have a
Yes.
university there.
Yes, they do, and they have a downtown area with great shops. In fact, I did a modeling job for one of the shops called Avatar, and I'm in their catalog. So there's lots of good clothing stores, shoe stores there, restaurants, very good nightclubs where I like to go dancing. There's a great karaoke bar called Coasters that I go to over there, and there's just so many fun places. The nightlife is good, and the people seem to be very happy, calm people.
Let's see. We have just about a minute, and then the camera will stop,
Okay,
and then we'll come back.
all right.
What would you like people to know about you?
That I really want to progress in my career, that I'm really open to new projects. My goal is to land a role on a TV episode, a regular TV series, something like a crime drama show would be great. I want people to realize that I am out there, that I have videos, so many videos on YouTube they can watch. They can look at my IMDb and see my resume and my other experience. And it would just be great if more people would contact me about projects and let me know when they have something that I fit. I do a lot of submitting myself, but it would really be nice to have more people know that I'm here and I'm a good actress and I'm ready to go.
So I know that you're pretty open to different types of roles, but do you have a role that you enjoy doing more than others, or something that you've always wanted to do that maybe you haven't had the opportunity to do?
I enjoy playing daughter roles because I am a daughter in real life. And when I've played those to fathers and mothers in different medical videos, different films, some commercials, I always enjoy playing those kind of roles because I feel like I can really relate to them. I feel like it really brings out the emotion, especially if I need to be a sympathetic daughter or have a parent who is ill or dying in the story. It's something I can really relate to. So I feel like it brings out my best acting.
Okay, so that was the camera.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm gonna just keep the audio going. Do you feel comfortable? Do you want to maybe go to a different spot? Do you want to maybe sit?
Whatever you want. I
You
mean,
feel
I can
good?
continue standing unless you want me to sit.
Okay. Let's try a different setup.
Do I need to powder?
No, you look
Oh,
great.
okay.
Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Let's try. Yeah, sitting will be good.
Okay.
Let me just shift this camera. So then when we come back, this will be 3 minutes of silence.
Okay. Did I do okay on the singing on the spur of the moment?
Oh my gosh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was really pleased that you did that. Okay.
I know I kind of flubbed up my words a few times answering questions.
Oh, not at all. You're doing excellent.
Okay.
And so this. So how can we do this?
They do lots of filming here, don't they? I've heard of that a lot of the times, but Expression College films.
Yeah, lots of different stuff. It's a good digital film program. Okay, so we're gonna come back and then we'll just do 3 minutes silent at the camera.
Okay.
Okay, and 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's 3 minutes.
Okay.
Did you have any mentors growing up?
No, I didn't.
No mentors.
No.
No one that you feel like guided you along the path of acting or anything?
Well, my mother guided me a lot in a lot of things and was very encouraging. But as far as somebody having the career that I wanted, that I could emulate, I didn't have that.
Mm-hmm.
When I think of mentor, that's what I think of, somebody that was doing what I wanted to do. I didn't know anybody who was doing what I wanted to do, but I knew in my heart what my passion was.
Did you have outside people that were, I suppose, maybe role models, or maybe people that you didn't know, but that were role models for that were doing what you wanted to do? Maybe someone who had, I guess, like the ideal career.
No, that's what I was just saying. I didn't really know anybody who was doing what I wanted to do. Just going to movies and watching TV shows made me realize that was what I wanted to do. That's what I could excel at. But I didn't know anybody personally who was doing that. I just had the idea in my head and knew that I was going to have to start doing something about it.
Let's see. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I see myself acting on a TV series, living in Los Angeles and having a really great role, some type of crime drama show or a sitcom. I like sitcoms too. I think comedy is always great.
Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to be in Los Angeles.
Yes. Well, that's where the main TV shows are. I mean, I'm not saying that's the only place I really want to live, but I could see myself working and living there, or at least commuting there, maybe living outside of Los Angeles, but commuting there for work.
Do you have a neighborhood in Los Angeles that appeals to you?
Well, I used to live in Hollywood. It was a lot nicer then. I think a lot of it has gone downhill in some ways, although I haven't gone to visit it in about 5 years. So who knows? Maybe there's been more improvements. But I think West Hollywood is pretty nice. I also like Santa Monica, although that's really busy and the traffic is really bad. But I do like where I was born, Santa Monica, the pier there, and some of the homes.
Mm-hmm.
Beverly Hills, of course, is gorgeous. That would be a dream place to live.
What kind of work environment do you like best?
You mean in acting, that kind of work environment?
Mm-hmm. Like a set, like when you think of a set that you were on where you were just like, this feels really great.
Yeah, I have been on some like that where it's very organized. Everybody's pleasant, working towards the same goal. The director seems to be happy and know what he wants. And all the actors are getting along well with each other, like their roles. Everybody's encouraging and supportive of everybody else. I think that's a pretty ideal set.
Tell me about one of the toughest decisions you've had to make in the last, let's say, just last 6 months.
Toughest decision. I don't recall really making a tough decision in the last 6 months. Just, keeping with my career every day, trying to do the best I can in my personal life, finding ways to make things work, whether it's with the husband or my relationship with my mother, my workout program, just trying to juggle everything and put it all together and deciding to keep going and not let myself feel discouraged.
Did you ever have a time when you were on set where you felt like you disagreed with the director?
Not that I can really recall. I mean, sometimes there were certain scenes I did which seemed to me that they were shot at a strange angle, but then I would find that when I saw the final product, when I saw it playing in a movie theater or at a film festival, I would see his point of view then and say, wow, he was right. That shot really worked. From that angle, it looked different, but it really got an audience reaction and it really did well.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to tell. Was that a difficult thing as being an actress, that it's difficult? You never really know what they're going to use or what take they're going to use, or you just never really know even how it's going to look when you're in the moment, that sort of separation. Do you feel like that was a challenge for you?
Not really a challenge, but it is something that you do have to be aware of, that maybe what you thought was your best take is not what's going to be used. Maybe you think that the way you did it this time was the best, but then you find the director used it differently, or it took out certain lines that you thought were great and put in other lines that you didn't think were that great. Sometimes you just have to accept that. It's a little hard when you see it then on the big screen and you're saying, gee, I would have liked it better if I had used my first take or my second line. But you just have to put your trust in the director, because your job is not to direct the movie or the TV show. It's just to do your best. And the editor and the director will decide on what takes they use.
What do you feel like are some of the top three traits that, in your experience, have made like a strong director?
The traits, I would say somebody who is open to hearing how the actor feels about a certain character, about a certain scene. Some directors will listen to an actor say, well, in my character, I feel like I would have been more upset by this or that, or I would have been more surprised at that. A director that listens to you a bit, and if they don't agree, says, well, the way I'm seeing it is this way, and it's because of this. That's a good trait. Another good trait is to be understanding. Realize sometimes if an actress has to cry for a scene, you might need to have a little time by yourself for just a few minutes to be able to get the emotions up there, rather than just say, okay, we're rolling, cry. You might need just a little bit prep time before, to get yourself in that frame of mind. And I did work with a director like that who was understanding, and the scene went great.
Do you have a strategy or a technique that you use to be able to cry like that?
Yes, I find certain sad things that have happened in my life, certain things that really touch me, and I'm able to push my own buttons by going into that sad place and bringing it out. Even though it may or may not relate to the scene I'm doing, it's still something you feel. You get the emotion out there before you do these lines that pertain to the scene you're doing.
And then you feel like you always need a little bit of time to sort of come back from that.
No, coming back from it is easy. It's getting into it that you might need a little time for. But coming out of it when they say cut and the scene's done, usually you're so happy and relieved that, you did it, that you're all smiles. That's the way I feel anyway.
So similar to the question about top three traits about directors, in your experience, what do you feel like are the top three traits in an actor or an actress that you feel like makes for a successful performer?
I think the first one is somebody who realizes that they are not running the set. They have to listen to directions. They can't try to direct other actors. They can't go around self-directing when the director has said this is the way it is. They really have to listen and follow directions. I think that's first and foremost. Secondly, I would say being able to show emotions. If you're somebody who feels everything internally and you can't bring the emotions out, then you probably need some more acting training. If this is your chosen profession, being able to show the emotions is important. And also, thirdly, being heard, not whispering, not being so quiet that the camera and the sound person are just not picking you up, understanding that it's okay to project a bit, maybe not as loud as you would on a stage, but project enough so that the camera can hear you. And if you're too loud, the sound person will tone you down a bit. But I think a lot of actors make that mistake of thinking that they should whisper and that it's showing emotions when it's not. It's just showing a very quiet voice and people aren't understanding what they're saying.
Mm-hmm. Did you have formal acting training?
Yes, I did.
Where did you go, or where did you have your training?
Well, when I lived in Hollywood, I took some classes from a teacher over there. And in the Bay Area, I took for 6 years from an excellent teacher named Dennis Sakamoto. And I took both commercial acting and film acting from him.
What's something that you learned from one of those teachers that you feel like was very beneficial to you, that really helped your on-screen success?
Making sure that your persona is friendly, even in a commercial. Even though you're doing a commercial and advertising a product, you don't want to come across as really hard selling that product like a salesperson. You want to come across as somebody who's conveying the benefits of a product, but also in a friendly tone. That seems to go over well in commercials.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like really drives you? What do you feel like is your motivation? I know that this is probably a very difficult question, because I feel like you've had the drive to perform and be an actress all your life. But maybe you've thought about that or reflected upon that. Like, where do you think that drive comes from? Where is that coming from, I guess?
I think it comes from just being so exhilarated after doing a good role in a movie or a TV show. It comes from feeling like you count, you matter because you accomplished something, you're entertaining people, you've done something on film that will be there for years and years long after you're gone. It just makes me feel like I'm immortal. I'm always going to be around because I'll always be on film, and the motivation comes from just knowing that you did a good job, that you really entertain people, or you spread a message to somebody, you help somebody in some way, and it's an incredible career unlike any other.
Do you feel like you have any weaknesses?
Oh yes, I think we all have weaknesses.
Do you feel like you have any weaknesses as a performer?
I would say that the one weakness would be that when you have a lot of dialogue, you work hard on memorizing, but at the same time, you don't want it to sound like it was memorized. Sometimes, because I do speak very clearly and distinctively, it might come across that I'm a little stiff when I've memorized a lot of dialogue, when it's actually not true. It's just the way I speak, but it can come across like that if you've really studied so hard on the memorization that you're not leaving enough pauses in there or time to reflect on what you're saying. And I think I always need to work on that to make sure that I include the emotion in there, not just the good memorization.
What do you think is what's the most challenging aspect of being a performer?
Getting people to cast you. You could be perfect for a role, but then there are directors who will cast somebody they know, somebody they've worked with before. I've been on sets before where I'm the only actress on set. The others are sister-in-laws, brothers of the director, and they have an interest in acting. Maybe they've done plays in school, and now they're grown up and say they can act, and the director has worked with them and given them the role. And then there are other actors out there who really vied for the roles and didn't get cast. And I think that makes it tough because actors say, this is my career, this is what I do. And if somebody's replacing some of them out there because they're relatives or friends, I think it's a real challenge. It's all around, getting people to cast you, to believe in you is not always easy because they have so many competing and so many vying for their attention.
It seems like there's just so many performers.
There is. There is. There's a lot of competition out there.
Have you done any writing or directing, or are you exclusively a performer?
I'm exclusively a performer. I haven't really done any writing or directing, though I've helped cast a few projects, though. When I've been cast in something and a director has trusted me and said, you know what, I need two other people in this, someone to play your husband or someone to play your friend. If you could find actors for me, that would be great. And I've actually done a little bit of casting, which was fun. I'm happy to help out with that.
Um, let's see. Have you ever had any doubts about being a performer? Like maybe you should do something different or anything like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there are times like that when things get slow. I think about other skills that I have and that I could be working for a company, doing really well there, bringing in big money and utilizing my other skills. And when times are quiet and things aren't happening, it's very easy to get depressed and feel like that, gee, maybe I should have taken that job I was offered. Maybe I should be applying at this company or doing something else.
How do you stick true to your dream?
Well, I always think to myself, well, I'll give it a little more time. If nothing comes up, then I'll look into that. But it seems like whenever I'm in that frame of mind and something comes up, I get a call from somebody I've worked with before, or I all of a sudden heard from somebody I submitted 2 weeks ago who says, well, we had put the project on hold, but now we're ready to do it and we think you'd be great for it. And then it inspires me again, gives me some more confidence.
Do you feel like faith is an important component of being a performer?
It is. You have to have faith in yourself and believe in yourself. And you have to understand that if times are slow, it doesn't mean it's going to be that way the rest of your life. I mean, if it turns into months and months and you're not booking anything, then maybe you want to rethink your career choice. But if something comes up every time you start to feel that way, it's like something, God or the universe or something is telling you to keep going with it.
Mm-hmm. Do you like to play any sports?
I used to like to play volleyball. I haven't played in a long time, but I always did like volleyball when I was in high school. And then afterwards, too, I remember going to a few barbecues of friends where they had a volleyball court set up at a park. And I remember doing that. I always had fun with that.
When you were in high school, were you a theater person, or were you more of an athlete or more artistic? Or...
I was not an athlete. I was into theater then. I was just starting to do a lot of musicals and plays. And then I was a part of a dance troupe that did recitals and different performances at shopping centers and different events, fair competitions and things like that.
Mm-hmm. What do you think we could do better or differently as Americans?
I think that we should start putting American people first. I think the country has been way too generous with foreigners and helping other countries when they have a disaster, sending food and money over to them. While that sounds like a nice gesture, there's still a lot of people in America who are homeless, who need homes, who need food. And I think that we really need to concentrate on what the needs are at home in order to make us a stronger nation.
Mm-hmm. I moved here to the Bay Area just about 2 years ago, and I feel like I've been very surprised by really the homelessness problem that we have in this area.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like maybe it existed in other places where I live, but I wasn't as aware of it.
Yeah.
What do you feel like there's something that we could do as a region or as a state to do something about this problem?
We really need to lower the rents. The rents are outrageous in California, and a lot of people cannot afford it. Even people that have good jobs are finding they can't afford it. People are having to get roommates they'd rather not have to afford the rent. A lot of things are going on where people are having to leave certain areas and homes and apartments that they're happy with because of the rent, and it's just not right. Not everybody is a high-tech person making great money, and that's why there's more and more homeless people. Some of these people have had jobs, they've had places to live, but now this is where they ended up. And I think there really needs to be strict rent control. There needs to be more areas where people who are charged rent depending on what they make, what they can really afford, because there really shouldn't be homeless people out there. This is a rich country, and there is enough food, there is enough apartments for everybody, and we need to work on that and try to help everybody.
It also seems like there's more and more people that are really struggling with drug addiction now than ever before. Why do you think that that's happening? And do you same thing? Do you think that there's anything that we can do about it as Americans?
I think that a lot of people are very, very, very stressed out these days because of not having enough to afford rent, because of job losses, because of conflicts in relationships, divorces, and things like that. And a lot of people are just taking the easy way out and turning to drugs. And it's sad and it's not good, but there are rehab centers for these people. I think there's a lot of those. They have to be willing to go, though, and do it themselves. But I think that perhaps getting people into better jobs, helping them find hobbies, whether it's sports or whatever that would really interest them, get them into other activities so that they don't feel so hopeless that they have to turn to drugs.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, do you feel like the public school system in this state is in generally a good place or generally not a good place?
I think it's a fairly good place because I know a lot of school teachers and I hear about their experiences in school with the kids. Excuse me. So I think that they're doing their best, but a big problem is not being able to discipline kids without hearing from the parents, not being able to punish kids, give them more homework, and know that it will be done, because a lot of the parents are way too defensive over their kids and are of the mindset we don't have to discipline them, they can do whatever they want. And that's really hurting the school system. There are some teachers I've heard of who have quit because they say, I just give up, and they've gone on to other careers because they say, I try to tell the children, this isn't right, you need to do this. And then the parents are calling me up saying my child can do whatever they want. And it's just breaking down the whole system. Kids need to be disciplined. They need to realize that they have to respect their teachers and that their schoolwork is a priority.
Do you have any other monologues that you could do or that you would like to do?
I don't really have one offhand at the moment. I would need to look them over before doing them again because I don't really do them that often.
Yeah. I know I kind of just am like asking these questions out of nowhere. Let's see. What else would you like to tell us about yourself and your aspirations?
Well, one thing I could say is that I really love animals, and I hope that people are respecting animals more out there. It really upsets me when I hear about animal cruelty. That's something that really hurts me, because I think that animals are innocent and they need to be treated with as much respect as human beings. They need to be given homes, food, and treated with love too. Animals need love too. And it really upsets me when I hear about animals being abandoned, especially cats, because they're my favorite. And I just wish people would realize that they've got to respect these animals and take care of them. Treat them like little furry children, because that's basically what they are.
Do you have cats?
I have one cat, yes. My cat, Jenny. She's a beautiful cat, and she was a stray 14 years ago. Kept coming around my apartment complex and needed a home. So I ended up taking her in because she was just so sweet and such a mannerly cat, if you will. She just seemed to have such manners that I know she came from somewhere where she was in a good home and she had already been spayed. But I don't know if the people abandoned her, which would be horrible if they did, or if she got lost. But she seemed to really take a liking to my husband and me, so we moved her in, and she's been very happy ever since. She's a very loving, fat, happy cat.
That's really sweet. Okay, we're winding down. The very last question I like to ask people is, what advice do you have for future Americans?
I would say to be loyal to your own country. I hear too much hate these days, people hating their country. Maybe you don't like the president, maybe you do, but either way, he's still your president. And maybe you don't like certain people in Congress. Maybe you don't like this law or that. There are certain laws that I don't like. There are certain things happening that I think are ridiculous out there, but you still have to say that this is your country. Spread good vibes, spread positivity. If you want to get into politics, do it. Try to make things better for everybody. But if you're not going to get into politics, there's no reason to be spreading negativity all the time with gossip and hateful comments. Just wish for the best, vote the best way, see if there's something you personally can do to help your country.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me.
Sure. Thank you.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah. Are you going to edit out all the pauses of when you're asking questions? Do you do that?